Hey, friends. It's just me this week. And honestly, I think it's a perfect time for me to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart because it has really changed everything for me, and that's grounding. And not just the fluffy kind, the real grounding that brings your nervous system back online, that brings you back online, because that's what it did for me. We're also going to get into some simple breathwork tools so you can use these daily. Um, it's nothing fancy, it's nothing super hard. It's going to be very easy. And it's just things that retrain your brain to stop living in fight or flight. So if you get anxious or you get into a state where you don't feel like you're in your body, these are really good techniques to use. And it allows you to, if you continue doing it, like you practice it every day, then you'll notice that you begin living, more from a place of peace than from that fight or flight, anxious space. So I want you to know that if you've been feeling overwhelmed, and that's probably a lot of us, or out of sorts, or maybe you've been reactive, or you could just be plain tired. This is for you. And so, if that's for you, you probably have some friends that would benefit from this also. So, go ahead and share this on your Facebook page or send this to your friends through Messenger and let them know that there are options, that we don't have to continue to live in a state of chaos within ourselves. There are easy things, simple things that we can do that can really begin to change our lives. So we're going to start with the question of what is grounding. So grounding isn't a trend, even though I know that a lot of people may be talking about it. But when we're grounded, it's we're returning to present. We're moving ourselves from the past, which a lot of us ruminate in, or the future, which a lot of us find ourselves in. That was my issue. I was always looking to the future about what I needed to do to be there, how I could make myself better. I'm very growth oriented. And so I can easily find myself moving into the future and then really not being able to sit in the present and enjoy where I am in life, kind of always looking for the next. So grounding is a return to safety. It's a return to the present. When we stop in that moment and put our attention onto our body, even if it's not on the grass, even if it's just in a space, in a room, however you choose to do it, your thoughts begin to slow down because you begin to bring everything back into the center, into the core, into that space within you that reigns. It's that place within you that the kingdom is. So you're bringing everything back into order. And so our bodies stop bracing and our hearts soften. And that's really important because we want to go through life where we have softened hearts, where we're not hardened to the things of the world or to the traumas that people go through, that we can really see it through the lens that Jesus would look at it. And that's really what we're called to do, is to be like Jesus, to love like Jesus, to show up in the world like Jesus. And Jesus showed up with his heart softened. And so that's a way that we can easily move into the space of softening our hearts, allowing our bodies to get into a state of peace where we have access to wisdom, we have access to love. And so another thing that grounding helps is our nervous system feel the difference between threat and peace. So we have this situation in our modern life where a lot of us can easily move into fight or flight very quickly whenever there's really no threat of fight or flight. So if maybe it could be because I'm in a crowded space, or it could be because I forgot something and I feel really anxious about that, or it could be that someone cut you off, in the road or in line somewhere, and that really frustrated you, or maybe you're running late. So there's a lot of things that could be happening that our body interprets as a life or death situation. So it shuts off the rest digest piece of us. And we get into this hyper sensitivity space where we are hyper alert, where we are on guard, where we are ready to fight, ready to protect ourselves. And that is called the fight or flight um, space. So, fight or flight is oftentimes where we don't have access to the front part of our brain. We are only living in the back part of our brain, which is the survival state. Um, and in that space, we don't really care about relationships. We don't care about other people. All we care about is our survival. And that doesn't mean you're a selfish person. That's all of us. All of us experience this when we get into these hyper states of arousal because our body is created. God created us so that we could get away from really dangerous things. Like if somebody's running behind you with a knife, or there's a saber-toothed tiger after you, or there's a bear. Like maybe you don't run when there's a bear because I know that you're supposed to just be still. But anyway, the point is that our body gets its lines crossed. It doesn't understand what's really happening. And so it goes into this hyper state. And a lot of us that grew up in chaos, maybe where home wasn't a safe, loving place, where maybe we were always on guard, or maybe we did go through traumas, different kinds of traumas, or we just had to be on, we just always had to be aware, on guard. Um, and those kind of things, your body doesn't know what calm feels like naturally. That was me. I lived most of my life in that fight or flight hyperarousal state. My body didn't even know what calm was. And so, in order for my body to learn what calm feels like naturally, grounding introduced it to that and introduced my body to what calm was. And so now the reason I do it is to practice that so that my body begins to learn that that's the state we want to stay in. We don't have to be in hyper arousal all the time, that fight or flight space. And so that's another thing that you can really get the benefits of in grounding, and breath work, which we'll talk about later on. And the grounding is physical and spiritual. So while you're actually doing something here in the physical world, it also is doing something in us spiritually. So it's connecting us to that state of peace. It's connecting us to love, that frequency of love, allowing us to access even what that space of authenticity is. Authenticity is the highest frequency that you can be and or have, and authenticity is simply the true love of yourself and being able to show up, modeling what God put in you to the whole world. And so when I step barefoot in the grass, or just put my hand on my chest, or even just pause to notice the breeze, or you could notice the way that the breeze hits the trees, or the birds that are singing, or maybe there's a sound of a stream or water, something that gets your attention and that you enjoy. So it's not just a body thing. It's a chance to say, hey, God, I'm here. Help me feel you again. It's a way to step back into feeling and really having that visceral experience where it's not just um, like an ethereal thing that like I have this relationship with God, but I don't ever feel them here. I don't ever feel God in my presence. This is an opportunity for you to, several times a day to really step in and say, hey, God, I'm here. Help me feel you again. And just pause and wait for that moment where you really are connecting to the God that's inside of you. Trinity lives inside of you. The kingdom is within. So that is where we find access to God, is through through and that's how our spiritual life is built, is that we're connecting back to ourselves so that we can connect more to the God who created us. And so you don't have to escape your life to regulate. You just need small rhythms to return to yourself. And that's really good news, because I don't know about you, I don't need another long list of things that I have to do all day long. I need stuff that's bite-sized, 10 seconds, 5 minutes here and there, that I can connect back to me, that I can get back present with myself, and then engage with my spiritual life, like engage with, depending on where you're at in that, like, do you engage with angels? Do you engage with like the cloud of witnesses? Do you engage with, all of the Trinity? However you do that, whatever's comfortable for you, because we're all in different spaces, but it can simply just be engaging with your creator. Just saying, hey, God, I'm here. Help me see you. Help me realize where you're at. Like, let me sense your presence in this moment. Okay, so simple ways to ground. You can go outside like I do, barefoot, and you can stay for 30 seconds, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever's comfortable for you. Some days I'm out there for a minute. Some days I'm out there for 5 minutes. Some days I'm out there for longer. And there are also times where, like, if I'm working in my garden, I'll just go barefoot and do, work in my garden while I'm barefoot. So I'm getting both grounding and I'm doing work. And so even 1 minute with your feet in the grass sends a signal to your body that you're safe, that you're supported, and that you're here, that you're ready to be present. And so that in that moment with that signal, it allows you to move from where you were to present. And the only way we can engage with God is in the present. And the only way we can learn something or relearn something or train ourselves in something is when we're in the present. So it's really important that we do this several times a day. And when you're about to learn something, you definitely want to get yourself grounded. If you're about to go into an important meeting, ground before you go. Get yourself ready to really be present in that space. So another way to ground is just to touch something real. That may sound silly, but place your hand on your chest. That's real. You're moving your attention into the interior of who you are. So putting your hand on your chest, feel your heartbeat. Maybe take a few deep breaths. You can put your hands on your lap, feel your legs, or even run your fingers over a textured surface. Like, I love to feel textured surfaces. So I have like different, um, um, like water containers. Why I can't think of those, like just to go water stuff that's textured. I have a purse that's kind of textured. So I love textured stuff. You can also rub your two fingers together really, really slowly and intentionally. And you can realize the ridges that you have in your fingers. That's grounding. What you're doing there is you're letting yourself know, I'm here. And then you can begin to even say to yourself, I'm safe in this moment and I'm very loved. Just that simple thing can ground you in that moment. You can also do this thing, it's called name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, and 3 things you can hear. I don't use this one as much because it's not really one that I think that I remember and that I just don't use it. But it's a really great one if you're in a space where you can only do it in your head. So like you're in a meeting and you need to get back grounded. Maybe something happened and you needed to, like, you're getting anxious, you're getting worked up. You can simply just name 5 things you can see in your head. I can see that. I can see this. I can see that. And then 4 things you can touch. So you could touch your shirt, you could touch your fingers, maybe you can touch a book, whatever, your cup, your pen. And 3 things you can hear. Maybe you hear the air conditioner, or you hear somebody talking, or you can hear your breath. And so that really helps you get back into your body. And it works. It works really well. It brings you back from that future tripping and reliving the past and getting all caught up in the emotions of the moment, and really allows you to stay focused. And the 4th one is just to let your senses guide you. You can smell your coffee, you can feel the water in the shower, put on a frequency playlist or worship instrumental, and just let it reset your internal space. Just let your senses guide you. So if it's like, if you're wanting to really move from one space to another, you can turn on one of our guided meditations that we have on YouTube and Spotify. We actually have more on YouTube because Spotify shut us down. I guess the thing that we were using, because you have to use a company to put it on Spotify, they don't do guided meditations, and somehow we were able to get through, and we got like 8 of them on, but that was all we were able to get. But you can find new ones and a greater amount of those on our YouTube channel. Okay, side note. All right, so let's talk about breath work. So, breath work is really powerful because it retrains their nervous system. So, you can say it like this: breath work is the body's direct line to calm. Our breath is so powerful. When you change your breath, you change the state that you're in. So I'm going to show you just a few techniques that I use. Um, Maybe not daily, but I use these periodically, and they are so powerful. The first one is probably my favorite because it's really good for anxiety or getting yourself into a really calm place, like to go to sleep. So you're going to inhale through the nose for 4 seconds. So, okay. And then you're going to hold for 7 and then exhale slowly through the mouth for 8 seconds. And you're going to do 3 to 4 rounds. And um, you can say to yourself things like in your head, um, but it's going to slow everything down. It's going to slow your heart rate down. It's going to slow your racing thoughts down. And it's really going to lower your cortisol, which is why I really like this one, because I have lived, like I said, in a state of hypervigilance, hyperarousal. And so my body immediately can go there. And I used to not know how to calm it down. And this simple 4-7-8 breath, 4-7-8 breath works every time. So do 3 to 4 rounds of that. You can do that, while you're in your car. You can take a break from a meeting or go to the bathroom and do it, however you need to do it. But it's really important, and it helps you from spinning out, from reeling in this moment. The next one that I really like as well, but it's usually used for a different reason. It's box breathing. And this one's more for focus and emotional reset. So maybe you just had a tough conversation with somebody that got you kind of emotionally kind of up, or maybe even emotionally down. Or maybe you need to really focus. You're going into a meeting, you need to really focus. So this one's really simple. Box breathing. You inhale for 4, you hold for 4, you exhale for 4, and then you hold at the bottom for 4. So inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Okay. So think of drawing a box in your mind with each breath. 4, 4, 4, 4. And it's great for work to home, like when you're transitioning after a tough conversation, like I said, or before you start your day or a really important meeting or a Zoom. So box breathing, love it. And then this one, I don't use as much, but it's a sigh. And what you're going to do is take a deep breath through the nose. So, and then double sigh. First a long exhale, then a shorter sigh at the end. And then you're going to repeat it 3 to 5 minutes. So it's going to look like, ah, like that. So like the longer exhale and then a short burst at the end. And you don't have to like do it perfect. Just deep inhale, sigh. It's like, ah. So you're going to make that noise. Ah, like a double sigh. So just let it out and then burst at the end. And research has found that this is one of the fastest ways to calm your nervous system. And it literally feels like your body lets go of a grip you didn't know it had. And so those are going to be really, really important and valuable things for you to use. So like grounding, you can do that any time of day. You can do it in the morning. You can buy a grounding sheet. Those are a little bit pricey, but they work and they're really important. I do sleep on a grounding sheet. I also have a grounding mat underneath my desk. So when I'm working on the computer all day, because I'm getting a lot of EMFs around, I'm going to be grounding on my grounding pad. I also oftentimes go out and ground at the end of the day, do some breath work. And so it's really valuable to be able to incorporate these things in your whole day, not having to just have one part of the day that you do these wellness things, that really you can spend the entire day spending time coming back to present, teaching and retraining yourself. And so you don't need a perfect morning routine or an hour of silence to regulate. You just need a little moments to come back to your body and breathe. Start small, choose one thing. Okay. So maybe it's breath work before bed or grounding while you make your coffee, and make it a rhythm. Like your nervous system will begin to trust that it doesn't have to stay on high alert. And like there's been so much that my body has been used to that it no longer finds alignment with. Like there are so many parts of me that do stay in calm for most of the day. And there are still times where I pull out these tools because my body wants to go in hyper arousal or high alert. And so when that happens, I have tools and I want to share those with you guys. And so I hope that this really blessed you today. And over time, you'll start to feel like you again when you create a rhythm or a pattern or, practice this every time you remember. You'll be more calm, more present, and more connected to God and your own heart, which is so important. If this is something that you want help building into your life, we go deeper into this, into the Stress Less, Live More program, and I'd love to work with you. So let us know if that's something that you would like to do. But in the interim, maybe before you decide to have a meeting with us, you can always check that out. Go online. Our website is theundividedheart.com, and you just simply sign up for a free coaching call. It's called a discovery call. And we walk you through the whole program, let you know how it would be a good fit for you. And one other thing, I have created a grounding 101 guide that I'd love to share with you if that's something that you want. It's free of charge. I will have the link down below where you can check that out. All right. I hope you guys have an amazing Tuesday. And thank you so much for being with me this week. Susan will be with me again next week. She is on vacation, enjoying her family. And so we will be back together next week to see you guys here on Live with the Heart Girls. Talk to you later.